What's up everybody, welcome back here to a new Bitcoin video. We are currently having a little bit of a bounce here to the upside for Bitcoin, and that's going to be quite positive because I'm still up here, 800,000 US dollar here on my Bitcoin and Ethereum position. I will tell you guys here what my target is going to be here in the short term, and as well I'm going to be talking here about this very interesting chart that is going to be predicting that the Bitcoin price is probably going to have a massive rally very soon. So let's dive here straight into the short-term analysis. Basically what we are currently seeing is that we are currently seeing a very nice bounce here to the upside, and as you can probably see here from the title, it is quite a bullish. What I'm still here expecting is that this is probably going to be a little bit of a continuation to the upside. This is purely based on the fact that we've actually touched over here the 7-hour RSI. This is all over here, my free indicator. Check it out. There's a link in the description. But what you can basically see here is that I have talked about him many times, is that we were probably going to get a little bit of a fade here below this previous low and get this double bottom pattern, kind of with a bear trap here on the right side. We've kind of seen a very similar type pattern right over here, where we kind of fade here the bottom and then get a massive move to the upside. Generally speaking, this goes into the 7-hour oversold as well. Again, very similar pattern right over here as well, where you just have the right side here of this double bottom just being much lower here, kind of taking out the lows here and then recovering back to the upside. They tend to sometimes start off a little bit slow, but they can kind of speed up very quickly, and I think that this pattern is again playing out. So every single time that this pattern happened, we've had a pump here to the upside. So I pretty much still expect here the same thing. That's why I'm still holding this position up here, almost 800,000 US dollar. It was 800,000 US dollar. I presume the Ethereum price had a small correction here to the downside. If I'm going to look a little bit at it, it's a little bit volatile. But yeah, this one is still up here, 700,000 US dollar. My initial deposit right over here was 60,000 US dollar here to enter this exact trade. And currently I made over 10x profit right over here with this trade. So that one is doing absolutely phenomenal, absolutely beautiful. And I still think we can squeeze more out of that, because if the Bitcoin price recovers, I think Ethereum as well recovers. So the Pi cycle indicator is one of the favorite indicators I've talked about in many of my videos. Currently, this one is, the green line here is up an incredibly amount here, near 200,000 US dollar. I still very much believe we are going to be hitting this target, and for this to actually cross, the Bitcoin price also has to move here to about 200,000 US dollar as well. So one of the predictions I've been making here for the last couple of years, as you guys can actually remember here, I bought back here right over here at 17,000 US dollar, went inside the massive position, bought a bunch of Bitcoin at spot. You can go on my X account, you can go to my previous YouTube videos. I bought a bunch of Bitcoin there, and I've been holding this Bitcoin throughout this whole entire rally. Beautiful predicted here, this exactly on the bottom. You can again go to my X. I made millions of tweets, well, not millions of tweets, I made a bunch of tweets about it basically here, where I basically predicted here the exact bottom, and I'm going to be doing the exact opposite, where I'm going to be predicting the exact top, the next top. And we've already been talking about in many of the charts here on how this is going to be 200,000 US dollar. So what we are currently seeing as well is that the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, and as well many of the assets as well, for example gold, are all at an all-time high. I've talked in the previous video about the Federal Reserve changing their policy, where they're going to be targeting 4% inflation, and how this is going to be extremely bullish here for the Bitcoin price. We are currently seeing that all of these things are basically combining here together for an absolutely spectacular Bitcoin bull run, and also a very spectacular altcoin season, which is currently, in my opinion, only in its early stages of really unfolding. Well, yes, we have had this significant rally to the upside, but generally speaking, I mean, we are currently probably in the last few months here of this Bitcoin bull run, but the big fireworks happened at the exact last or the last 2 months here of each Bitcoin and crypto cycle. And the fact that we probably have about 4 months left is going to give us about 2 more months here for us to hit here the higher level here of 200,000 US dollar. I think things are going to go absolutely insane here, and that is why I've held this position again here. Turned $60,000 right over here into 700,000. And right here, the Bitcoin trade is a little bit down because I've actually been paying funding fees for this position as well. But that one is also just going to be completely fine here. And it's just going to be a matter of probably a couple more weeks, maybe even a couple of days here of waiting for this thing here to go into probably over $1 million. Now, as you guys know, I make these videos completely for fun, and everything that I release, from my indicators, from my videos, they're all completely for free to join. I do also actually tell you guys my exact trades when I actually enter them right over here inside the VIP channel, which you can just find over here by clicking over here at this link here in the description. Just send me a DM. It is completely for free to join. What you do actually have to do is just sign up over here with the Blofin exchange, deposit, or just sign up on any of the other exchanges here that I'm partnered with, and then send me your user ID after depositing right over here on Telegram. If you send me anything differently, I am not going to be adding you into the channel over here. If you send me nonsense, I will not be adding you. Just send me right over here your user ID after you've signed up with one of these links here, and then also made a deposit over here. That way I can actually get a small fee whenever you actually enter a trade, and that's how I can kind of fund this channel as well here to the side. So I'm not going to beg you to join it. As you guys know, I think the quality is just absolutely there here compared to many of the other private channels. I think this is probably the best one out there. So if you don't want to join, you don't have to join, but it's just for those people who have been trading and maybe are not really that good as well. I think you can definitely go there and learn a bunch of things. So again, check out over here the link in the description. Now, quickly moving forward here with the news. What we are currently seeing here is a tweet here from a guy called the Scalping Pro, which is a hilariously simple name, but he did actually point it out here. Something very, very interesting is that the Bitcoin price tends to have these big corrections here during a bull cycle. We didn't really see that in the 2021 cycle, but as you guys know, if you guys have been watching this channel for a very long time, you know that I've kind of already made the similarities here between the 2017, 2016 Bitcoin bull cycle and the current Bitcoin bull cycle, where we're kind of getting a slow grind with an explosion at the end. And actually just kind of going back and backtracking here to the start of the video, that is exactly as well what I've been kind of telling you guys here, that the last 2 months here, last month here of the Bitcoin bull cycle is probably going to be extremely explosive. Now, this person gives here a peak of about 1,000%, which is again going to be probably lining up somewhere here around 170,000 US dollar. I think it's going to be higher. I think it's going to be around 200,000 US dollar. We've talked about it in many of the charts, but these pullbacks that we are seeing are very, very normal. They generally tend to be like 30%, 20%, whatever. But they're normal in the Bitcoin price, and they generally always are getting bought up. So currently we are down about 12%. Even if we do go a little bit lower, it is possible my Bitcoin position might actually get stopped out here in the short term. But what is going to be the most important thing there is that regardless of what is going to be happening with that, it really doesn't matter that much because the Bitcoin price tends to just recover back to the upside. So the last trade that I closed here on 650,000 US dollar that you guys can remember here on the BTCC exchange as well. So currently this one is up as well. So, you know, I'm just chilling. I'm just longing here at the bottoms like I've done here for the last couple of years. Just whenever there's a pullback, you know, I did a famous trader as well here back in 2021, exactly at the bear market bottom. Whatever the pullback you're going to get, generally speaking, they tend to recover. If you are a good trader, you can actually take those swings here and actually make a profit here trading on these leverage exchanges, which, you know, it carries its risk. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a random guy on the internet, but historically, that's kind of what I've been doing as well here on the Bitcoin price. And in the past, I've, you know, made some money with that, which is great. So anyway, this is a tweet here from Benjamin Cohen, which is actually pointing out here that the Bitcoin dominance is currently touching over here this resistance level. And I tend to agree a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of Benjamin Cohen because I think his videos are just a little bit simplified, but it is actually pointed out here this very interesting chart here where we're currently touching it. I kind of want to see the Bitcoin dominance as well having a pump to the upside. I don't like the Bitcoin dominance being so low. I don't like money flowing into the altcoins because we want to see the Bitcoin price first sets its all-time high and then see money flowing into the altcoins. If people are prematurely actually investing into these altcoins, what we generally actually tend to see here is that that's going to be weakening Bitcoin and that's going to be weakening the cycle. Back in 2021, that cycle was also massively weakened because, you know, we had NFTs going on, we had a bunch of shitcoins and crap and weird things going on that kind of weakened the cycle and overall made this peak really not that appealing compared to some of the bigger peaks that we've actually seen in the past. So if money is just kind of prematurely flowing into the altcoins and people get greedy and people don't want to hodl or be patient, and then this cycle is probably going to be prematurely guess what ending. So just kind of hope and just kind of pray that we are not going to see this big Bitcoin dominance kind of correction to the downside. I still think we're going to hit 200K, but then we might just not get some of the higher levels, not just go into the higher like 200K's levels, maybe 225, 250K. You know, it might be 200K and that might just be it if people are just, you know, don't have patience and are just speculating massively on these altcoins. Eventually, a lot of the money just gets sucked out because all the founders that actually make these altcoins, they tend to take all the money, they tend to invest it back into Bitcoin. So eventually, after you get the bear market, you know, things to kind of revert back to normal. But it's just kind of a crappy way for new people just kind of to lose money. And it's going to be also going to be probably kind of making this cycle less effective and less out there for people to actually come in and to actually buy, because the peaks are going to be less extended. So anyway, that is going to be the end of the video. Again, if you want to join the free Telegram right over here, it's completely for free. Just sign up here over here on Blofin or BTCC. Just deposit, and after that, send me your user ID. It's very, very simple. Again, I'm not going to beg you here to join the channel. As you guys know, I think the quality is there. So if you want to check it out, then make sure, again, check the link in the description. And again, I'm going to be holding this trade here. So that was going to be the update here for today. In 2 days, there's going to be a new video. So make sure to subscribe. And of course, hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.